Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. It has been quite some time since I last recorded anything. I think the last video I uploaded was my bookshelf reorganization, and even that was like a random gap between that and the last video. Let's just put it this way, I went in with great intentions when I relaunched this channel to do often videos, and that has not gone according to plan. But my goal right now is just to kind of use this platform as a way to upload content that I wouldn't normally upload anywhere else. And, on the random occasion I get inspired to put something up, you will see a video of it. Today, in case you couldn't tell, I will be talking about my recent trip that I took to the UK, and all of my tips and tricks, do's and don'ts for going to the UK, as somebody who has been twice now, not going off of super well-informed knowledge, like not saying I'm an expert by any means. And if anyone in the comments wants to give like a differing opinion to anything I have in here, please feel free. And because it may have just been like my specific visit, this specific thing didn't go well, and it might go well any other time of the year. So if anybody has any comments to share or extra tips and tricks, any extra advice to share, please put it down in the comments below, because I do want to go back again, and maybe I'd give something another whirl or do something differently. So definitely let me know. My trip consisted of going to Edinburgh, Scotland for a week, of which we did 1 day trip to Glasgow. And then we went to London for another week, of which we did do a day trip to York, and we also did a day trip to Newbury. And I think that was it as far as locations. And we I had done this trip, a similar trip, in 2017. I had taken a Harry Potter modern British literature class in college, and we then went on a 9-day trip to Edinburgh, Scotland, and London, England. And so this was kind of trying to relive that trip, but this time go with my parents and kind of show them all my favorite places, and getting to kind of do some of the other stuff that I hadn't done last time. I will say that with this trip, I think we had plenty of time to do everything, and I honestly don't know if I'll be back to Edinburgh or London, unless it's for like a day or two while on a trip, only because I do feel like this time around I got to do everything that was on my list. So unless something else gets added, I think I'm done with those 2 cities. I love those 2 cities, do not get me wrong, but I kind of got to do everything I wanted to do, and I don't see a reason to really go back there unless something else gets added. I would definitely go back to England and Scotland, just maybe not those cities. I'm just gonna go through like what we did on the trip and do's and don'ts for each place. So starting with Edinburgh, Scotland, top do is the hop on, hop off bus. I know, like, if you're like me, I don't like group tours of things. Mostly, sometimes it's because of the anxiety of looking like a tourist, but also I tend to just like to do my own thing a lot, and group tours can sometimes bore me a little bit. We did do a hop on, hop off bus in Edinburgh, and I listened to the thing. It gave a lot of knowledge, but it was also very, very, very helpful for getting around Edinburgh, because there were parts I wanted to go see that it really wasn't that accessible, and in doing the hop on, hop off bus, we were able to get to some of those parts of town that weren't otherwise easily accessible. One thing that was on my list was the Topping and Company bookstore, which was kind of in the Leith side of Edinburgh and was a little bit more difficult to get to on foot, because we did stay in an Airbnb in Old Town, right on the Royal Mile, which was great for everything else we wanted to do, but for getting places like that, not so accessible, unless you wanted to walk like 30 minutes either way, which, depending on the day, we definitely didn't want to do that. We did also discover parts of Edinburgh that we didn't really like have planned on the list. Part of that was down by the water. And like the restaurants that were down there were really nice, and just being able to walk around down there was really cool. If you don't really have like a ton planned for Edinburgh and you don't really like have specific things on your list that you really want to see, or you've already completed those things and now you're trying to fill time, the hop off bus would be great for you. Speaking of Topping and Company bookstore, if you are a book lover, which hopefully if you're watching my channel you are, great bookstore. Fantastic. 2 stories. They have ladders that you're supposed to use, which might not be super uncommon for you. Great for you. The bookstores that I have near me that have ladders, staff only or only for decoration. So being able to actually use a ladder, fantastic. I did purchase a whole new set of Jane Austen, which again, if you have followed me for quite some time, then you will know that I have multiple copies of Jane Austen books, specifically Pride and Prejudice, because it's one of my favorite books, and I have like 18 to 20 copies now of Pride and Prejudice. But I got like a whole new set of Jane Austens that they're about this big, and each one has a different like colored edges, which is cool. And then I did also get like a hardback of Pride and Prejudice that's like a leather bound. My mom did take pictures of me on it, and that is on my Bookstagram if you want to see the pictures of Topping and Company. Not a lot of pictures, just like a couple of me. So yeah, but very cool bookstore. 2 stories, like I said. The second story had all the like fantasy, fiction, young adult sections in it. So if that's what you're looking for, there's where it's at. Gorgeous bookstore. Everybody was very, very nice. Quite a few people in there. I kind of made this trip my mission to get tote bags from places. And that was a very reasonable thing to do because literally every single place we shopped at had a tote bag. And so I collected tote bags from everywhere on this trip, which wasn't really a goal I had went in with. It kind of just came to mind while I was there, and I started doing it for everywhere. Which is kind of cool because I love tote bags, and I've started getting more and more tote bags over the years. So now I have a whole bin filled with tote bags and places I shopped at in the UK. And that's something that will always last because like a t-shirt, maybe you gain weight, lose weight, it's too big, it's too small later on, whatever, or it fades over time or whatever. And then other things, maybe you risk breaking it coming back. The tote bag was very easy to pack and a fun collectible, I would say. And you can use them for the beach or for shopping or for grocery shopping, book shopping. You can use it for carrying things to and fro. You can use it as a purse. You can use it as a backpack. You can use it for literally anything. So, very nice. Very fun little idea for anybody looking for a cool souvenir. Another bookstore we went to, which I had went to last time, was Armchair Books. This one is a bit of a funky find. I will say, I don't know if it was the magic of being there the first time or if it has in fact changed. This time, I wasn't as impressed. Mostly I think what kind of soiled it a little bit is that it has become popular on TikTok over the years. And when we went last time, it was kind of a hidden gem find. And the floor or the books are literally floor to ceiling. They're stacked in shelves that are touching the ceiling. It's crazy. And I also remember being able to like weave around a bunch of shelves, and I think getting to go upstairs even. And I don't know if they've gotten smaller, like maybe they don't have as big of a storefront as they used to, but it felt a lot bigger last time, and it didn't feel as big this time. Wasn't as great of a visit this time around. My mom really liked it as her first visit. I do think it's worth going. I'm not saying it's not worth going. It's definitely on my do list. Yeah, it's definitely on the do list because I do think it's worth visiting, and you might find something, but I would just go prepared with the knowledge that you're probably not going to be the only ones there. And that first entryway hallway is kind of the coolest part of the store. The other part is just kind of a room, and it had like travel books and some like history books type stuff. And if that's your vibe, that's your vibe. I will not yuck anybody's yum. You do you, boo. But the genres I am interested in, fantasy, fiction, classics, young adult, all that is in the first set of haul. And it is worth a visit, I would say. It's very cool. There's also a great view of Edinburgh Castle from there, so definitely worth a visit. The next thing on my do list is some food places. So we have the Royal Mile Tavern. And while to some of you that might sound like a bit of a tourist trap because it's on the Royal Mile and it's called the Royal Mile Tavern, honestly, some of the best food we had in Edinburgh. The next place to eat, and this one might sound a little funky, it's a Frankenstein themed bar. The actual name of it has some German in it, so I'm not going to attempt to explain that. But if you look up the Frankenstein themed pub / tavern in Edinburgh, you're going to find it. And not even a joke, it is probably the best pizza we've ever had. A little touristy, I will say, obviously, but great food, great atmosphere, great vibes, great music. It's playing like old rock and roll, bunch of classic rock, and it was just a very fun time. We really enjoyed it. I think we went to the place like a total of 4 or 5 times, but we ate there like twice. Another place we ate was Greyfriar Bobby's Pub. I had been there last time. We didn't get to eat there, but we had walked in for a little bit and looked around, and then we left. Probably the best fish and chips I had in all of Edinburgh. It was absolutely delicious. While you're at Greyfriars Bobby, be sure and pop into the Greyfriars Kirkyard, which is right around the corner, and I literally mean right around the corner. I went there on the last trip, so I took mom and dad through there. It is a cemetery that when you walk in, I believe was started because of the dog, but there is a dog statue at the beginning that is where a dog was buried, and people leave sticks at his grave, which is so adorable. There's also a statue outside of the pub that you can rub the dog's nose for good luck. It was a schnauzer, I believe, or a terrier, I'm so sorry. And I did in fact rub his nose, so had to do it. The Kirkyard is very cool to just walk around, and if you go straight past the church on the around the church to the left, and you walk down this little path, and then you get to this part where it's kind of roped off, walk down the little roped gravel part, and on the end on the right, there is a large, very tall, gray headstone, and it is Tom Riddle's grave. Obviously not the Tom Riddle, but a Thomas Riddle. Lots of Harry Potter fans go there to get a picture of Tom Riddle's grave. I went and saw it again while we were there, and there were actually a few people taking pictures of it already, and some taking pictures as we were on our way out. Obviously, I will always recommend going to Edinburgh Castle because I am a huge Mary Queen of Scots fan. I actually bought quite a few books about her on this trip. I've read some about her before. I found some new ones to read, and I'm very excited about them. Mary Queen of Scots did live in Edinburgh Castle for a time while she was in Edinburgh. And so visiting the castle is very cool. Very neat if you're a Mary Queen of Scots fan or a Reign fan. Yes, I know it's not historically accurate. I still was glued to my seat every single week watching Reign. I've rewatched that show multiple times. Just the grounds itself is gorgeous and offers some amazing views of Edinburgh. So 10 out of 10 recommend doing that. One of my favorite places to see in Edinburgh, this one was a new one for me, was Dean Village. Now, I will warn you, if you have bad knees or are handicapped, this might be an interesting visit for you. Dean Village is located at the bottom of a very steep hill. We walked the hill. Now, if anybody knows of a different route that we should have taken to Dean Village, by golly, at this point, don't even tell me in the comments because it might just make me mad that we walked a steep hill. It is a gorgeous village. It looks like an old English village down there. It's on the water. I had seen online to go early in the morning if you didn't want the crowds. So maybe try that. We went in the afternoon and there was a bit of a crowd, but it really wasn't that bad. I still have plenty of pictures of the village with like nobody in them. So it's not that crowded. But if you definitely want to avoid crowds at all, then maybe go early in the morning or like later in the evening. We also did check out Holyrood Palace, which is another on my do list. It is another Mary Queen of Scots moment. Unfortunately, we couldn't tour the inside because somebody was staying on the residence, and so we couldn't go inside, but we did get pictures of the outside from the gate and everything. Gorgeous palace, very cool to look at. Another fun spot on the Edinburgh do list is Arthur's Seat. I did not personally do it. We went to a park that is behind Holyrood Palace. That is amazing. Go see that. And we kind of just took pictures from the base of it, walked around the park, different stuff like that. My dad did go up the like easy ramp. There are multiple trails on this thing. So you don't have to hike. There is like an easy trail to go up that my dad went up. The only don't that I have for Edinburgh is to not really stress about Newtown. If you really want to go shopping and eat at some newer restaurants and see like pretty much places that you could see in like a big city in your town, Newtown will have that for you. It does have some old buildings, some like historic buildings, and it did have things like the Johnny Walker Museum and stuff like that. So there are stuff to do in Newtown, but I will say it's not something to really stress about. Old Town is my favorite part of town. That's why we stayed in Old Town. One of the day trips we did was to Glasgow. Now, I don't have a ton about Glasgow because we did really only go for one specific reason. And I don't really remember much of it from the last time I was there in 2017. I'll be so honest. So I don't have a lot for this. If anybody has any tips for anybody going to Glasgow below, please put it in the comments so I can add it to my list as well. But definitely do go to Waxy O'Connor's pub. This was on my list. It literally feels like you're in Hogwarts because there is unending staircases and never-ending hallways. And there are like 3 different bars in this place because it's so spread out and layered that you will get lost at some point. And one of the bartenders actually told us that if people are really drunk, they sometimes have to help them find their way out because it can get a little maze-ish. Definitely do go to the Vive store. I have been following Jamie Genevieve on YouTube for close to 10 years now. Jamie Genevieve is a makeup artist, in case you didn't know. As time I started following her, she mostly did makeup tutorials. Since then, she has kind of branched into not only makeup tutorials, but also a lot of travel vlogs and stuff over the years. She has also created a brand called Vive, V-I-V-E, and it is a makeup brand. And I usually have to order it because it comes from Scotland, and I do have like pretty much all my makeup is Vive makeup, and I love it. It's amazing. At this point, I don't even just buy it because it's her, because believe me, I have bought brands over the years because it's somebody and not enjoyed the product and stopped buying it. I continue to buy this brand because the makeup is so good. In the past year or two, she has opened some, like, she's done pop-ups, but now she has opened a permanent store in Glasgow and one in London. I didn't get to go to the London one, but I did go to the one in Glasgow, and it was very cool and very surreal to get to go to an in-person Vive store, buy some things in person. I did buy enough to be able to get a tote bag, so that was very cool. We all know I love the tote bags. And then also do go to the Last Bookstore. This place was very, very cool. We kind of found it by happy accident. It was on my list, but we didn't really have I wasn't like, I have to go here. It was kind of just if we had time to go there. And we were right around the corner from it when I was looking up things nearby and was like, oh my God, let's go to this place. Moving on to England. I will say some of this might be a little skewed because we happened to be in London during a heat wave. And ever since then, my TikTok For You page has been geared towards creators posting about London's heat wave. And there was no air conditioning in our Airbnb. And it was like 80 to 90 degrees every single day. And we only had fans, and we sweat a lot, and it was very hot in London, but we still had a great time. Once again, do go to Waxy O'Connor's. There is one in London, and it is different. It is more like spread out, but still unending staircases and floors and hallways, and very cool. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about that one. It's a lot like the Scotland one, just more spread out. I would say like wider. Do look to stay somewhere like Kensington or Paddington. We stayed in Covent Garden, which I think if you're visiting for the first time, maybe Covent Garden area is better because it is very central. There is lots to do. You're kind of where we stayed, smack dab in the middle of like the theater district. So plenty of things to do, even if you want to like catch a last minute ticket to Mamma Mia, which was right across from our Airbnb. You can do so. We also had Hercules right across from us, and The Lion King was diagonal from us. So if you like to shop and you maybe want to go to the theater and you would like to be close and walking distance from Big Ben and Trafalgar Square and Piccadilly, then stay in Covent Garden. If you would like to stay out of the chaos, then stay in Paddington or Kensington. We originally had a place booked outside of Covent Garden, but since we had decided to extend our stay in London, that place was no longer available, and Covent Garden was about the only area that I could find somewhere decent to stay in for a week. So that was where we landed. But it is right in the action, which is very nice if that's what you want. We kind of wish we had stayed somewhere outside the rush, like Paddington or Kensington. It was very nice for the visit. I won't say it's like too loud or anything. It's just very crowded, and it is right in the middle of everything. So you're kind of just like constantly like go, go, go while you're there, versus Paddington and Kensington when we had like taken a bus through there. Felt like it was a little bit more chill vibe. Next time I would stay in Paddington if I went back to London. So yeah, if you're looking for something more chill vibes and not really right in the action, I would go Paddington or Kensington. Definitely do go see Westminster Abbey. I know it can maybe be a little bit of a tourist trap because that's where the royals get married and that's where the coronations and stuff happen. We did not do the main tour. We went around back, went to the cafe, and by going to the cafe, there is a set of corridors that you can walk through that, to our knowledge, was free. We didn't have to pay anything. We did tell them we were going to the cafe, so maybe we weren't supposed to walk down the corridors. But there were signs of like, please have a ticket before entering like this door. And so obviously we didn't go through those doors. But the corridors that are in the back of the building that assumingly you can see for free, look like you're in the middle of Hogwarts. I had a mindset that if we had a free day, I wanted to go to Oxford and go to the church and see the hallways of Hogwarts. You don't have to do that. You can go to the backside of Westminster Abbey and do exactly that, because it felt like I was in the hallways of Hogwarts, and it felt like when you looked out onto the grassy quad that is Hogwarts. And very cool for a Harry Potter fan, I will say, without having to plan a day to go to Oxford. This is a definite for me as a tourist in London. Download the TfL Go app. It is advertised on the tube, and I downloaded it just to be like, well, that might be useful. An amazing app. An amazing app. And if you're a local, maybe you have a different system and you might hate the app. As a tourist, loved the app. This thing was an absolute lifesaver. If you put where you are or where you're going to be and where you want to go, it will give you options of how to get there via tube, how to get there via bus, how to get there via tube and bus, how to get there the fastest, how to get there if you just want to do, but like it gives you options. There will be like the fastest way to get there. There will be like an alternate route. There will be like, if you just want buses, if you just want the tube, like there are options. And that was amazing to me. And if you are doing it via the tube set per se, it will say, okay, you've selected this thing, walk 2 minutes to this tube station and then get on this line, like get on the Piccadilly line and get off at this stop and you're here. It will tell you those things, which is very, very cool. It even had on some occasions, which we didn't end up using those routes, to take the Piccadilly line and get off here and then get on the Central line that gets off here. Like, it will give you all your routes that you need. Okay, my don'ts for London. Do not do the hop on, hop off bus in London. It is a waste of your money and your time because London is very crowded and we saw more red lights than we saw anything else. They do literally flock at around the stairs to get down to the London Eye, specifically on the Big Ben side. Ignore them, walk right past them. I would recommend not booking a place with no air conditioning, especially if you're going in the summer. At the time that we booked it, I did know that we didn't have air conditioning, but the time that we were going to be going to London, it was supposed to be like spring type weather and be like 50s and 60s Fahrenheit. And by the time that we got to London, we kind of had watched the temperature go up the week before we left and the week that we were in Scotland. And it got up to like the 80s and 90s, sometimes the high 70s, but mostly 80s and 90s. And there was no AC in our Airbnb, and it was the top floor of a flat. And so it was very, very hot. I will say it's very common to not have air conditioning in most places. So just really keep an eye on what you're booking, even hotels. My dad had actually looked at just eating the cost and getting a hotel for the last few nights. And even the hotels said that they only had air conditioning in the public spaces. This one might be unpopular. I would say do not go to the Borough Market. We went because I am a chocolate covered strawberries gal. If you don't know, the Borough Market has these viral chocolate covered strawberries, which is just strawberries in a plastic cup with some melted chocolate poured over top. While I will say they were probably the best chocolate covered strawberries I've ever had, and they were amazing, it probably wasn't worth it in the long run. And the crowd was insane. I have never seen more people crammed into such a small space in my entire life. They talk about how bad the pickpocketing and stuff is in London. If there was ever a place that somebody's going to do it, it's there. It's that crowded. And honestly, they could have stripped me of all my clothes, and I don't think I would have noticed because there was so many people. That is everything for London. For York, do the hop on, hop off bus here. We had a great time on the hop off bus here. We only went to York with a couple places really in mind. Other than that, we were just kind of cruising around York for the day. That one we did the Golden Tour, and it was awesome. The guy that was selling us the ticket was very, very nice. Like the lady in Edinburgh, gave us lots of discounts. And it was great. We had a good time on that one. Do visit the Shambles Street. I am a Harry Potter fan. But I will say I didn't really have the Shambles Street on my list per se, because Victoria Street in Edinburgh is also like Diagon Alley, and I would say color scheme wise is more like Diagon Alley, and I had seen some places on the last trip that were supposed to be inspired by Diagon Alley, and so it wasn't really huge on my list, but I'm not even joking when I say like it looks like the real life Diagon Alley. The buildings are kind of like hanging over and they're all askew, and it's a tiny street, and it really does look like Diagon Alley. They have also taken full advantage of that, and there are Harry Potter shops / wizarding themed shops the whole strip. So very much worth it for any Harry Potter fan. As someone who's a Harry Potter fan that really wasn't like planning on going, we kind of walked by it and I was like, what's this street? This looks cool. And then realized, oh my gosh, this is the Shambles. And had a great time going up and down. It is very old English village looking, and very medieval looking. And if you're inside the walls, which if you go, you'll know what I mean by the walls, it's very old looking, very fun, very cute, lots of shops, lots of little restaurants and cafes, and honestly just a like quaint little village to stay in. If you go outside the walls, that's where you get like the busier parts of town and like the newer shopping and newer restaurants and stuff. But very, very adorable. We went early in the morning and it was just nobody out there. I actually put a video on my TikTok of this cat meandering out of this park and up into a hole in the wall that ended up being a cat door to the shop that it apparently lives in. And Very quaint, very adorable. We loved it. We wish we would have stayed the night just to have like a full day there. My final like location advice is for Newberry. So we went to Newberry with one singular thought and goal in mind, and that was to do Highclere Castle, which is Downton Abbey. If you don't know, this is where they actually filmed the show. Some of the rooms were on a stage, but for the most part, most of the show is filmed in the house and on the property. The kitchen is a stage, and some of the bedrooms are a stage. My mom and I were shook. My mom and I are big Downton Abbey fans. My dad is not. He still enjoyed it, thought it was pretty neat. But, you know, as a Downton Abbey fan, it is a must go see. The train's like an hour, so it's really not a bad train ride. Check the website and make sure you can get a ticket, because they do not sell tickets year round. They do like certain months out of the year have a like special type of tour going on. And like we got the one that was like the general tour of the grounds and property. They have certain ones a year that are like Christmas themed, or like do this one and you get to see like the property with the lady that owns the house. We'll give you a tour, and or do this one and it's Downton Abbey specifically themed. And would definitely check when you can go. The best part for me was rounding a corner of a hallway up on that like upper floor. If you've watched the show, then you know, being able to see over top of the foyer, seeing that and being like, oh my God, that's where Mary and Matthew had their dance. Like, this is incredible. And then looking across and seeing the staircase. Mom and I going at the same time, the staircase. And nobody was on it. So we thought, I bet we can't walk down the staircase. That sucks. Hopefully we can see it from the lower level. We just hadn't gotten over there yet, and nobody else had been over there quite yet. We got to walk, nay, cascade down the staircase. We let people get in front of, like, ahead of us, and there was nobody behind us, specifically. So my mother and I could walk behind each other, cascading down the staircase, hand on railing. And I'm not gonna lie, I had a whole moment when I got to like the part where you turn to come down, and I like looked left at the foyer, or at the like main room, grand room, I don't know what you call that, ballroom, I don't know, coming down the staircase and seeing it from like that perspective. I had a whole moment because it was like, I'm in Downton Abbey. This is a thing. Because there are some scenes where they film it from that perspective. Mostly it's filmed at the person, looking at the person coming down. But there are a few that, like, of them coming down the stairs from their POV. And that was insane and surreal. And that was the first moment, especially because they had the, like, main ballroom area roped off, so you couldn't actually step into it. Just kind of walk around it. So with nobody there, nobody on the stairs with us, nobody around us, feeling like you're the only people in the house, walking down the stairs, entering the ballroom, was insane. My only don'ts for that is do not assume that you'll find an Uber or taxi easily at the train station. It tells you this on their website. We kind of thought, well, we'll find something. Taxis do stop there often enough that if you just wait long enough, a taxi will show up, because they know that people are coming for the castle, especially if it's tour season. It's about £30, both like each way. Uber will lie to you. I kept seeing all week, well, there's Uber like within 5 minutes from the station. And so when we got there, we went to Uber, and it kept saying, looking for a ride. And the lady at the train station told us, like, there is no Ubers in the area, and it does in fact glitch out for some reason. Go with a taxi, pre-book one via the numbers they have on the website if you want to. If not, there's probably going to be one at the station. If you're anxious about getting one, then I would pre-book one, but there will most likely be one there. All right, so my next do's and don'ts are kind of just in general for going to the UK. Do book places with an in-unit washer dryer. I don't know how common this is, but we did find Airbnbs pretty easily with in-unit washer dryer situations. Both places had combo washer dryer, like in one machine. I will forewarn, for those who are not used to said machine, we in Scotland had an issue, and it was pure user error. When they dry in a washer dryer combo, it wet dries. So it basically like steam dries them. We kept hearing, when we were trying to dry them, water running in the machine. And we're like, that sounds like it's washing. And then when we would open the door to see if it was drying or washing, it would kind of steam a little bit. And we kept thinking, that's freaking washing it again. No. It's steam drying it. So it does run water to steam dry it, and it will steam. You have to just trust the process. And it will take probably 3 to 4 hours to run a load of laundry. That includes the washing and drying cycle, because the drying cycle you might have to run twice, just depending on how many clothes you have in there. If it's a full load, you're going to have to run it twice. And they're also smaller machines, so you can't fit as much clothes. A lifesaver, especially when we got to London and we were sweating through every article of clothing we had on that day, and you couldn't really rewear things the next day like you could on a normal occasion, packing lightly for a trip. The washer dryer was amazing. Do not book trains too close together. Our return trip for every train we booked got delayed and or canceled. Only one got canceled. Let me be clear. But every other train that we booked for return trips to things got delayed. I don't know if this is a common thing. It might be, because it literally happened to us every single time. If you plan the same way you would like a airport layover, like give it a couple hours between, I think you're good to go. And do not, I repeat, do not pack heavy. You will buy things. Even if you think you won't, you will buy things. Especially if you book an in-unit washer dryer, you're going to wash your clothes. I even thought I packed light and packed enough clothes to wear like everything twice, and still there were a couple things I didn't wear, because you're doing laundry so often you don't even really need it. But yeah, we had a fantastic trip. We really enjoyed it. It was 2 weeks of amazing time off from work and life. Definitely a trip I would recommend doing. Take these tips and tricks at will. If you completely agree or disagree with any of them, that's fine. That's your opinion. And you know what? Sometimes these trips are just like, learn for yourself a little bit. There might be things that I missed that you'll do on your trip and be like, I would not do that again. And if that happens to you, please comment down below in case I decide to go back to any of these places and need to know something new to avoid. But yeah, take everything with a grain of salt. If you feel like there's something on my don't list that you're like, I would disagree with that, I really want to do that, then you go do that. If you want to do the barrel market, you do the barrel market. Some of the stuff you do gotta have to experience on your own. But yeah, that's just my humble opinion on all these things. Take it in any way that you will. And if you decide to go on this trip, I hope you have an amazing time. And I hope that you don't stay somewhere with no air conditioning on 90-degree weather days. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm not sure when I'll be back with another one, because as I said at the beginning of this video, my upload schedule is not a thing. So, if you don't already, be sure to like and subscribe to my channel, and be sure and follow me on my Bookstagram and my travel Instagram for future travels and book hauls and all the bookish things. I hope to see you in the next video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye guys!